Hello everyone and welcome to another video with Fruitress. Today I will show you how I take down my 2 months old braids. So as you can see, I have already started taking down the braids and I'm more than halfway done. So I will be demonstrating with just two braids because it takes a lot of time. The braids are old and tangled and matted. So to save your time, I will demonstrate with just two braids. So these are the tools that I use. My spray bottle, which is always handy. My comb. This comb is for combing out the braids that are smaller. Then this tiny comb, rat tail comb, is for losing the braids. Then I have my tangle teaser for detangling the bigger braids and the detangling conditioner, which is actually a deep conditioner that didn't work quite well for my hair. So I'm using it as a detangling conditioner. This is how it looks inside. So I'm starting with this particular braid on my edges because it's like the most tangled and matted. For some reason the edges and the nape get tangled and matted faster. I guess it's because of water from having your bath or something. So I decided to use this one so I can show you how gentle I was when taking it down. That is one of the things you should know when taking down your braids, is that you should be very, very, very gentle, especially when the braids have stayed for such a long time and there's a lot of shedding. If you're not careful with your hair, then you will experience a lot of breakage. Detangling and taking down your old hairstyle is one of the most crucial steps to length retention, because if you're not careful during this period, then even if you have the best products or have the best routine, you'll not experience any growth or any length retention because your hair will be breaking off as readily as it grows, since you are not gentle while taking down the hairstyle. As you can see, whenever I get to any point that is kind of tangled, I make sure that I go through it carefully. I don't just rip it through. You can see that I'm using my fingers to gently separate the hair strands. Now, another tool that I did not use here but is very important is your scissors, because sometimes two strands just get stuck together and knot up and refuse to separate without being cut. And you don't want to just rip it through to prevent split ends, so you have to use the scissors. But I didn't really experience that mostly with the rest of the braids, so that's why I didn't use it this particular one. But it's a very handy tool and I usually use it regularly. Many people have been asking how I take care of my hair while in those braids to keep it that long, and for me there's really nothing much with handling your hair when it's in braids. That's exactly why I prefer keeping my hair in braids, because you don't have to do much. All I do is wash and condition and moisturize, and that's all. You don't have to detangle, you don't have to redo the braids. I don't redo the braids, though some people do. Some people redo the braids around their edges because if they don't, they might experience breakage. But I don't, because I don't see any difference. For me, I don't experience any more or less tangling or breakage or anything if I don't redo it. So the highest I've ever gone with mini braids is 3 months, and I plan to go more, but for now I just did 2 months. Maybe the next time I do braids, I'll keep them for like 4 months or 5 months and see how my hair responds to that. But I loved the 3 months stretch. So it's very, very wonderful. I noticed my hair was thicker, probably because of the care, the way I cared for the braids, or maybe my nutrition intake or something. But I noticed the hair was a little fuller, and I love the fact that I could see a visible length retention when I took the hair down. It's not like keeping it for 1 month and then you hardly even know if your hair is growing or anything. With this one, I could see a lot of new growth, so it kind of made me happy. So I'll try 4 months next time, and then if it goes on well, I'll try 5 months. If you know your hair can't go this long without locking, then it will be better for you to just not go that long. Just if your hair prefers 1 month or 2 months or 5 weeks or 6 weeks, just do whatever your hair loves. Braids are different from twists, so you should know that if your hair doesn't like keeping twists in for 2 months, it might prefer braids because they are kind of locked. And the way I make my braids, they are very, very tight. Though I'm really going to have to slack it down a little because I feel like I made it too tight in this last braids, and it made it look scanty and just not as dense as I would like. But braids generally hold longer than twists. I guess if I kept twists for up to 3 months, it would start matting and locking. However, twists are much easier to take down than braids. You can see how long it took me to just take down this one particular braid. And as gentle as I am with my hair, I'm not a very patient person. So it took me up to 1 week to take down all the braids. Because when I notice I am getting impatient and I'm becoming rough, I'll just stop and then continue later that day or the next day. I don't try to force it or say everything must finish today, so I don't get too rough and end up sabotaging my progress. So that is all for taking care of my braids. I don't redo them. I don't undo them. Some people redo the ends. Some people retwist the ends and all that. Sometimes I retwist the ends if I find out that they are getting loose because I don't braid all the way to the ends. I stop at some certain points very close to the ends and then twist the rest. So other times I used to retwist, but this particular time I did not. So even if they separated, I just left them like that. I was really busy, so I did not have much time to retwist or anything other than washing and conditioning. So another thing you should note is that not everyone's hair likes detangling with water or conditioners that have liquid. Some people detangle on dry hair with oils only and it works very fine for them. But this is just what works for me. So as you can see, I've gotten to the end of the braids and it's time to detangle it very gently. So I sprayed extra water and applied conditioner. If you look closely, you can see where the new growth ends and where the braids started when I made them newly. I'm so excited to see this new growth. This part of my hair is my edges, so it's pretty uneven. Some strands are way longer than some others, but as my hair grows out, it will just fall in line, I guess, because I'll be trimming it to make it equal eventually. So, as you can see, I'm very gently finger detangling before going in with any tool. Finger detangle first so you can help all the shed hair to slide out. My hair sheds a lot, so if I don't do it this way, then I'll get a lot of tangles, single strand knots, and breakage, and I'll have to trim off a lot. So I have to um, try to straighten the hair with my hands so all the shed hair can slide out easily. And that's one of the benefits of using a conditioner that has slip because all the shed hair will just slide out and they would not hold another hair strand down or tangle or cause any knots. So I'm doing this over and over and over. Like I told you, this particular part of the hair is very tangled and knotted. You could see from the build up at the base of the hair that it was really tangled. So I had to be gentle and it took a lot of time. Patience is really the watchword when taking down your braids or twists or whatever hairstyle you have on, especially after keeping them in for a long time. So if you're not patient, then it's better you don't keep your hairstyles in for a very long time so you don't have to deal with so much tangles. So now that I have taken out most of the shed hair, I'm going to go in with this comb. I know the rule says do not comb your hair with a small tooth comb, but there's actually an exception. This is just a small section of my hair and not the entire hair. And it's not like I'm combing it all through. I'm mostly using it to lift off the extra build-up and shed hair, and then I'm using my hands to drag them out. So this is the part of the detangling process where you have to be very gentle so you don't go too hard with the comb, because the comb is plastic, so it's stronger than your hair, and if you are too rough you would hear your hair snapping. So that's what you have to avoid. As you can see, I'm just pushing out the extra shed hair, and then I'm using my hands to slide them out from the mid shaft of the hair till the ends. As you can see, I'm dragging them out, and I'll continue this process until when the comb can finally go through the whole hair. But I'm not going to comb it over like twice or thrice. One thing about natural hair is that you don't have to comb it over and over and over. It can't ever be like relaxed or straight hair, because even if you comb your 4C hair until it's totally detangled and you leave it for 1 minute, like 1 minute, and come back, you would need to detangle again. So our hair just naturally does not stay detangled. That's actually the main reason why we should always protect our hair in protective and low manipulation styles, because if you manipulate your hair every day, you have to comb it every day, because it doesn't stay straight, doesn't stay one place. It always moves and hugs like the strands hug each other and angle and not up. So if your hair is always out, you'll find it very, very difficult to retain length. So, like I said at the beginning of last year and this year too, my goal is length retention. So, I just have to keep my hair in protective styles 90% of the time or 95% of the time to ensure that I'm not manipulating it in any way. So far, so good. Has been working very well for me. So, as you can see, I've gotten into the second braid which I'm using for this demonstration. I have already detangled it halfway. If I have to film like 3 braids completely, it might be a 1 hour video, so I have to be very brief. So you can see this part is much bigger than the first braid that I used. So I'm going to detangle with my tangle teaser, but as usual, I'll finger the tangle first. As you can see, I'm gently separating the hair and pulling out all the shed hair. You have to be very, very careful. So this part of my hair is actually not completely 4C. It's actually more of 4A. But the first one I used for the demonstration was 4C and 4B. I have a lot of strands that are unique on my hair, so as you can see, I'm sliding all the shed hair out. It's very important that you don't start detangling your hair with a comb or any detangling tool. You start with your fingers so that when the tool is introduced, it will be much easier. Before I forget, another important tip while taking down your braids or protective style is when you've taken one braid or one twist or one line of cornrows down, put it in a twist or clip it up. As you can see, if you can see mine, I put it in a bantu knot, so it doesn't have any opportunity to tangle again. And when I get enough braids detangled, then I'll put it in a very big twist, like the ones you can see the other side. So that's how I do it, because if you leave the hair out while detangling, by the time you are done with 5 braids, you would need to come back and detangle the other ones again. So to prevent any tangles or knots, hair should always be tucked in. So it's a very very important part of length retention. When your ends are not out, they don't have any opportunity to play around or hold each other or all that, and so you're able to retain more length. So as you can see, I'm going in with the tangle teaser, and I'm starting from the ends, not from the roots. I've noticed that when I use a tangle teaser, I prefer starting from the ends. Then when I use a comb, I always start from the roots. I hardly start from the ends when using a tiny comb. But then I don't comb all the way down with the comb. I actually just, like I showed you, I push out the excess shed hair and then use my hands to complete the detangling process until everything is smoothed and the comb can pass through without any hindrance. Basically, the major take home with this is that you should do what your hair likes, do what your hair prefers. All the rules for natural hair, the curly girl rules, all those stuff are just guidelines. You don't have to obey everything. I know some of them say always detangle with a conditioner, but some people find out that detangling their hair dry with just oils or butters works perfectly. So natural hair or relaxed hair or hair in general, it's not a one size fits all. So do what works for you. Whatever works for me is what I do. So the major thing is that your hair is healthy and you're able to retain length. Doesn't matter whether you're breaking a few rules or a few so-called rules, because it's not a rule when it doesn't work for you. So as you can see, I finally got into the roots and I'm still slowly, gently pushing out the remaining shed hair and tangling the whole hair. So that's it. That's all there is to taking down your braids, no matter how long you've kept them in. So comment down below your favorite style, especially the long-term protective style. My favorite is mini braids. I always go back to braids, no matter what. Even when I say I'll get twists, I end up getting braids. So we've come to the end of this video. I hope you liked it. So after losing all the braids, I went on to complete my wash day, starting with a clay mask which I used as a shampoo, and I deep conditioned with Ayurvedic deep conditioner and moisturized and put my hair in big twists. So I think I'm going to make mini twists this time around, but I might change my mind. Who knows? So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching.